Hello, good afternoon, folks. Welcome in Texas and Louisiana, and welcome around the world. We are live. We're live here on the Porter Brothers Show. Of course, exciting day going on here. We have a lot going on. Trump wins, Las Vegas, wins Nevada without even showing up. You got the Houthis blowing up ships. A little bit of a market rebound as well. It looks like we have a decent rebound happening on crypto, and this money that was printed up over in China over the last couple of days is making its way into our markets. Of course, crypto was up a bit yesterday, and so we started seeing that rather immediately. And then, of course, we start to see the after effects coming into our stock market and everything now as well. So that is some good old, as they call it, quantitative easing, right? That's how they used to call it anyway. Quantitative easing. So China was really a bit in free fall as one of their largest building places was going bankrupt, and the economy was falling quite a bit, and they really had no choice. They had no choice but to, no choice is a relative term. Should just let it go bankrupt and everything liquidate and everything like that, but that's not how we do things these days. So they had, quote unquote, no choice but to print up a ton more of their currency, and they flooded the market with that, and that's why you see some nice movements on the of course, on the markets now worldwide. You can see here, I'll just pull up. We're in a bit of a pump at the moment. Actually, I'll pull that up in a minute. I want to talk about Tucker first. So we have our Tucker Carlson, President Vladimir Putin interview tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So a lot of people are really looking forward to this interview. I know I will be watching it pretty closely. Look, guys, we have a situation where, of course, like we have all these wars. With this horrible war in Ukraine, and, they don't talk about the death toll over there much. It's hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions. I mean, both sides say, the other side has more losses than them. Any way you cut it, over 500,000 people are dead. You have an entire generation. Tucker called it out on his little video the other day. You have an entire generation of Ukrainian men that are gone. Beautiful people over there, and an entire, the cooling off of humanity over there in Russia. So absolutely horrible what's going on there. Tucker had the opportunity to go and interview Vladimir Putin. Of course, I think Vladimir, a lot of us think he's holding out, hoping that Donald Trump will get back into office. And, we'll see how that all is. Really a lot going on with Mayorkas and everything else. It's even hard to just stay on topic because there's so much going on. But that interview, it's an historic interview. Hats off to Tucker Carlson for doing it. I think what it's going to do is it's going to change a lot of the sentiment of people's opinions over here. And a lot of us have an opinion about the situation, and war is horrible. Let's not be, that's not candy coated or anything, but I don't think most of us feel like we should be over there and involved and in sending all of our money over there. That money that they print up, we don't have that money. It's not like the government has that money. Every time they send over all those billions of dollars over to Ukraine, they're taking it from you again and again and again. And the way they're doing that is just by diluting. They're just diluting you. They say, all right, we're going to do this. They tell the treasury or whatever, this is how much we need. Boom. They mint up the money, and there you go. Basically, the central bank is running everything. Nice run up as I'm talking here, even on Bitcoin. So let me just share my screen right over there. That is pumping. It's okay. I mean, I think that, it's not pumping. Pumping is a relative term. But you can see that it is having a bit of a rebound. Now, one thing that our good friend Matt always talks about in the morning show, and I will play his part of our morning show because he is that good. Matt Dixon with the VAY, MD Trade. But if you look over here at the volume, and I'm hoping you can see my cursor here, but you see how the volume is going down. So, and then if we add in the, I don't know if I can do it on this one here, RSI. Anyway, if it would be interesting to look at the RSI. But this is, you have you basically have the price going up, but the volume is lower, and so that's something to look at. Now, we have charted this thing to go up to 49 and then a pullback. We'll see. These types of things are all over the place. We have a lot going on. The Houthis, of course, just hit 2 ships over there, over in the Red Sea. They're enforcing a blockade, is what they're doing. They're enforcing a blockade. Look at Ethereum. Now, Ethereum is looking pretty nice over here. 24.14. Now, that is, this is the daily chart I'm looking at here. Let me just pull out here. Look at that nice pump we had there. Nice pump on the Ethereum there. That is a lot of talks going on with Ethereum about they're going to be the next one to have the Bitcoin ETF. And that is very possibly going to be the case. They're going to get that, our Bitcoin ETF. They're going to get the ETF, not Bitcoin ETF. They're going to get their own ETF. It'll be an Ethereum ETF. And oh, hold on. I'm not sharing that tab with you. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Although Bitcoin was pumping pretty good there too. Now you see that here is the Ethereum. Sorry about that. Here's the Ethereum chart. And you can see nice pump happening there as the influx of money goes in there. So pretty nice looking. One of my favorites as well, ICP. Let's just look at, and that's perpetual. Let me go back over to this one. ICP. ICP having a bit of a rebound as well. This is the 2-hour chart that you see here. Okay. So it remains to see how all this plays out. And of course, one of the crowd favorites, Doge, the doggy coin, is on a bit of a run as well. Excuse me. I want to look at these CoinGecko, one of the favorites here. So yeah, Bitcoin up about 0.2% or 1/5% in the last hour. So that's everything that's up today. So a pump here in the last hour that we're watching. Ethereum up 1.5% in the last hour. So Ethereum is up 2%, 2.5% on the day, 2.6. Really performing nicely. Remember, the all-time high on this is about 5,000. So although we do, crypto is crazy. We have been charting a pullback, but you never know where it's going to go before that happens. And we'll be keeping a close eye on it, and it'll be interesting to see. BNB, Solana here. Now Solana, it will usually kind of lead the way, or it'll go higher than some of the other ones. So you can see that 1.9 on the day. So there you go, 1.9 on there. So yeah, some of the other favorites here, as I mentioned, Internet Computer. So that one is down slightly. It is rebounding. The Dow, Litecoin. Let's look at Litecoin. Litecoin, the right coin, one of my favorites here, up about 0.5%. So the Dow was responding as well as we went in here. Yeah, so the Dow is up nearly 0.5 point. It's the same, 150 points as we go. And the NASDAQ, about the same as when I post. I just posted these on my X account. So pretty interesting situation, obviously, that we have going on around the world, right? With the Houthis. Now the Houthis just attacked 2 ships. The Pentagon just reported. So let me pull that comment up, because this is kind of interesting here as well. The Houthis. So the Houthis are enforcing a blockade, and that's their deal. And as long as Israel continues the bomb Gaza, they have said they're going to continue this onslaught here. So this is interesting. This just came off of my Twitter feed. I posted it. Up to 1913, Americans kept all of their earnings. Despite this, Americans still had schools, roads, colleges, vast railroads, subways, and an army and navy. Tell me again why taxes are necessary? Okay, we could go down that rabbit hole. So according to satellite images, the Houthis, Iran proxy, Troy Richards says, supplied with missiles from Iran, Russia, and China. I'll tell you what, man, the boogeyman is somebody else, in my opinion, but I hear you. There's a lot of bad actors in there. So according to satellite images, and let me just back this up, because the way I started on this was I looked at, as I was getting ready for the show, I looked at natural gas and I go, wow, natural gas is down considerably. What is going on? And so that I dug in a little bit and I saw that, let me just make sure everything's, I saw that the Houthis had attacked. So natural gas taking a bit of a dive today, trading at yearly lows at under $2 at $1.96.5. And then I did a little bit of research there, and the Pentagon had just reported that the Houthis hit 2 commercial ships in the Red Sea with multiple missiles. So that's going to be some fallout there. The Red Sea is a major natural gas shipping route. Price continues to drop as I post this. It has rebounded just a little bit. I can share that with you. It's rebounding just a little bit here. Wait, is that rebounding or is that less? Hold on, let me get back to my tab here. 65, yeah, rebounding just a little bit as that goes on. You know, look, they have this is a major shipping route for natural gas in the Red Sea. The Houthis have decided that they are going to support this blockade, and that's that. So according to satellite images, Iranian warships are now in the western Gulf of Aden. One of them is the Bashad reconnaissance ship. This is a high-tech warship with multiple capabilities. Do you think it's to help the Houthis' blockade of goods and services for Israel? Probably, right? Who knows? I think, yes, we just went on to a commercial in Texas. And then as soon as that commercial's over, I'm going to play some of the clips from this morning with Matt and him talking about everything here. So let's see here. As I go down a little bit more of the stuff, now there we go. Natural gas took a hit. Silver is at $22.45. Pay what the dealers pay for silver by joining the club. Follow this URL to register with my referral link. That is at costmetals.club. You go to atcostmetals.club. That'll forward you to the .com with my referral link. Register there. Buy gold and silver for what the dealers pay. Yeah, pay at cost. Pay the dealer's cost of gold and silver. No markup there, okay? There's talking about the NASDAQ and the Dow. This is, of course, Tucker Carlson's interview. Will be with President Putin. It's going to be airing tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on X. Really looking forward to that. And here is some of what Americans are saying about the interview of this.
Historic interview that we've had in years and years and years. I mean, I can't think of one that was this major, this big of a deal in my lifetime.
I think more conversation is good. I feel like, the U.S. kind of likes to silence a lot of conversation and exchange. I don't agree with a lot of the politics of people, but I don't think that means we can't hear what they have to say.
This is a big deal, and all the censors are in absolute full and complete panic mode right now because they don't want the American people they keep in the dark.
Them getting together with Vladimir and Putin is a scary thought. I do believe that could be like the catalyst to pushing forth Putin's agenda, which we've seen already promulgate our country.
Putin's been interviewed on NBC and CNN.
Yes. It's common practice for journalists to do this very thing. Now, once the interview is available, if people have criticisms of it, if people think it's overly friendly to Putin, in the way that some of Tucker's other interviews have been, absolutely fine to criticize it.
I think if the U.S. wants diplomacy, there needs to be more open conversations with world leaders. It's a shame that it has to be Tucker who is the one to conduct the interview, because I don't necessarily feel like he holds a lot of credibility with everyone in the U.S. But if more journalists want to follow suit, then I think it can lead to the normalization of relations.
Notice how the left is losing their mind back because they can't make him look like he's a human being. Because everything from the Putin price hike to the Putin war, everything has to be negative, negative, negative. Don't talk, because guess what? If you make him into a normal civil person, then it's harder to call him an enemy on the news and try to start a war with him. That's what it is.
So it has nothing to do with interviewing Vladimir Putin. It has everything to do with who's asking the questions and can they be controlled. And Tucker cannot. And this is why CNN is losing their ever-loving minds.
There you go. And that was aired on Sputnik, which I believe is I believe that is a Russian state controlled. And then I'm going to play this. This is pretty crazy here. And then we're going to bring in Matt.
Danced and dodged. We want to thank you for coming here.
So it was revealed a little bit earlier. You know what? Maybe let me play. I'm going to play Matt because I think we're coming in here off of commercials in Texas. We really appreciate you guys in Texas and Louisiana for joining us. I want to play this right here. This is from this morning. Matt came in. They were great. Russian was being attacks over the last days. Right about.
First of all, then I think it was Black Tuesday, wasn't it, in 1929? So Black Friday was 18.
Happen.
Make any money. Make the bags and stuff. I'm just going to share my screen because I'm going to run through some stuff today, which is a bit counter to what a lot of people are currently thinking. So I'm going to go straight to, hopefully you'll be able to see this.
Here, let me just add it to the stage here. There you go. Now we can.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually, as you know, I've been trading since the early 1980s, so just about 40 years now. So I've traded through the market crashes. The first one that I really knew about, I mean, I told you yesterday I lived through the oil crisis in the early 70s, but the first crash I really traded and actually got battered was the 1987 crash. I was heavily long the market. I was making a lot of money before 87 because the market was really booming, all-time highs at the time, and I was making money hand over fist. People, even my bank manager was asking me, how do you do it? How are you making so much money? But I got absolutely battered when the crash came. And as we saw yesterday, 22% fall overnight. And I was leveraged at the time, and I got absolutely wiped out. So I wasn't ready for that. I just used to go with the market, you know, what everyone was saying. Everyone was saying the market's going up, and that's how I used to trade. So I learned a big lesson from that. And trading is all about learning lessons. You don't become a trader from day one. You can't really learn just at school how to be a trader. I think a lot of it has to be experience, because experience are those life lessons that you never, ever forget.
Yep.
And so I've got that experience now blazoned into my mind about the 87 crash and getting wiped out there. I had to go back to do an ordinary job to pay back the debt because I was leveraged. I actually ended up owing more than I'd invested.
I've been there before.
I worked my way back. So I worked my way back and then carried on trading. And next major crash, major one, there were lots of other bits and pieces and little setbacks, but the next major crash was the dot-com boom and bust. And I didn't lose anything there. And actually a lot of people did lose a lot of money because they were heavily leveraged in the market. So I was actually advising people, and I used to advise banks at the time, and I was advising them not to invest in the dot-com stocks because they were a bubble waiting to burst. Some listened, some didn't, but I actually got it in writing that I'd advised them against it. And I said, I'll execute the deal, but you need to actually sign this disclaimer that I've already told you I wouldn't recommend it. So when they lost money, they had nowhere to turn but themselves. So that was one where I didn't lose any money, but I didn't make any money. But then we came to the next major crash, was the 2007, 8, 9 financial crash. And I actually made a lot of money there. I was waiting for that crash to come. And I shorted the market, well, using currencies actually. I shorted Australian against the yen and made a lot of money during that crash.
Wow.
I actually did a talk in the Middle East 1 month before the crash really started. And I told them all about what was about to happen. I said within 1 month, it actually happened 3 weeks after my talk. So did really well there. But the reason I'm telling you all this is because I hear a lot of people right now almost say, I'm stupid to say the market could correct, Bitcoin could fall, or anything of that sort. And when everyone starts telling you you're stupid, it starts to make me think, maybe I'm onto something here. Maybe I'm right. Because, as I said back in 1929, when the shoeshine boy starts giving you advice on which stocks to buy, then that's the time to get out. And right now, there's a crypto event here in Dubai last night, and all the talk was about how everything's going to the moon. Bitcoin is going to rocket, everything's going to rocket, and it might do. So what I've learned over the years is, do not position yourself 100% one way or the other way. You have to use risk reward, unless you're just a long-term hodler or you're building a good portfolio, diversified portfolio, that's fine. But if you're trying to trade, actively trade, then don't ever be caught one side of the market completely. Use risk reward, use your stop losses, and be prepared to take a loss, because that's what trading's about. You make losses, you make gains, but your gains need to be bigger. So I was taking a look after yesterday's, I went through the long-term stock market I showed some charts of the guy. I'm going to show some of his updated charts today. But I just took a look at Bitcoin long-term on my own chart and just tried to get a feel of where the market was. And this is right from the beginning, really. When price was almost zero. And we got the wave 1 up, a strong move up there. And then we got a wave 2 down. And then we got a big wave 3 up in blue, which itself is made up in red. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then another wave 3. Then we got a nice wave 4 down and a wave 5 up. That's a completed cycle, 5 waves up to the upside. And now we're looking potentially at a move to the downside. Now, whether that move is complete or not, nobody can actually say, but there were some signals that I used along the way. And I've used this with other cryptos in particular that I've traded. For example, One Harmony, there's a warning sign flashing red, this particular signal on One Harmony that told me when it's around 40 cents that the market was at a peak, it was about to drop. So what I've drawn here, the blue line is from peak to peak, and we touched on this yesterday. This is called divergence. It's basically a divergence indicator between price and RSI, which is an oscillator. So the price peaks are going up, and the RSI peaks, the corresponding RSI peaks, are going down. That's giving you what's called bearish divergence, regular bearish divergence. So with this move up here, it's telling you the market was about to come down, and it came down massively from around the 60,000 mark to around the 40,000 mark. So about a 30% fall. About a 30% fall we had there. That was following that indicator there. So the next time we had an indication of bearish divergence was at the all-time high, very close to the all-time high. The actual indicator was in at 64, 65, probably 65,000. As we know, the market topped at about 68, 69,000. But the indicator came in at about the 64, well, probably 65,000 mark, where we got higher highs on the price peaks and corresponding lower highs on the RSI peaks. And incidentally, we actually came from overbought on the RSI. So this was a warning sign flashing red that the market was about to take a dump. And that's precisely what happened. You can see how sharply it fell from 69,000 down to 15,000. So it fell, 75%? More than that, nearly 80%, something like that. So massive fall, but that was signaled. That was actually signaled here with this divergence indicator. So again, the warning sign was flashing. And now we have a long-term indicator here. This is a different one. I've got this one in red up here. This is called hidden bearish divergence. So this was bearish divergence telling you to turn down. This one is hidden bearish. And what this one tells you is that the market is likely to continue this downward trend. So although we've been moving up here, from the peak, we've actually been still moving down overall. So this indicator is telling you of continuation of the downward trend, because we're seeing lower highs on the price and we're seeing higher highs on the RSI. And once again, we're seeing RSI in overbought territory, telling you that basically the price is overbought and we're likely to decline in price. So that was that indicator. And then finally, there's a small one here you can see. This is, you need to look at it on a shorter term chart probably, because it's not drawn in quite correctly here. But basically on a shorter time frame, if you were to look on the daily, you will actually see that there is some regular bearish divergence in place.
Right, with the higher high and the lower high RSI.
Correct, yeah. So that's telling me there's some warning signs. And the other really interesting thing is that following the move up, we've had what is called the triangle, which is an ABCDE formation here. That's a triangle. Triangles cannot form in wave 2 position. So some people are trying to tell us we've had wave 1, wave 2, and we're working on a wave 3 to the upside, which is going to take us to new all-time highs, etc., etc. But if this is labeled correctly as a triangle, it cannot be wave 2. It's not possible. So it would have to be basically a wave B. So that would mean it's A, B, C, which is a completed correction higher, meaning that the next major move is to the downside. So I'm not telling you this as absolutely nailed on. I'm just saying there are other options in the market that we need to be aware of. Because if you're one side of the market, you'll end up losing long term. Let's get back to this guy. I mentioned him yesterday, Sid Norris. He's been in the market even longer than I have. Not as long as this chart.
Impossible.
Not as long as this chart. This chart started 1896 when the Dow Jones started. This is his updated chart. And again, you can see all the market crashes, the market booms, the market crashes, etc., etc. With precise Fibonacci extensions and so on. Here was the dot-com boom and bust at 2000. Back to here, got a major setback. And then from that, we've had a final move up in 5 waves, which here is made up of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, I mentioned yesterday I didn't like his counting. He's actually revised it, which is really nice to see.
Oh, wow. He was probably watching.
Hopefully, yeah. So this is now much more correct looking because the wave 3 is an extension of wave 1, a big extension of wave 1, which is what you'd normally expect. And then a wave 4, different form than wave 2. And then wave 5 looking like it's probably some kind of ending diagonal. So ending diagonals, it's going to be choppy, it's going to be difficult and hard to identify where the top of the market is. But we'll look in more detail. But what is interesting is, again, he's putting the top of the market, and this is the Dow, around the 41, 43,000 mark. Well, we're not far off that. You know, we could achieve that reasonably quickly, very quickly. So potentially any time around now, it's really difficult to identify precise points. And he's given a range there, but we're chopping around a real long-term high point in the market, and then a major correction is expected. That's probably when recession hits in the market, which I believe it will do. So just to look at this over a shorter term, this is looking at that final move up, the wave 5 we talked about. So here was the setback in the 2007, 2009 financial crisis down here, made up of 3 waves, in fact, but that set us back down here. And then moving up in 5 waves, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're working on the final 5th wave of the 5th wave, but it's going to be choppy, as we can see. So that's why it's difficult, because this final bit, top of the market, is going to be choppy. It's going to be deceptive, because people aren't going to be able to see it that easily. Everyone's still talking about market going higher and higher, but that's what divergence was telling us. Divergence is telling us that the professionals have already sold out of the market, so volume is low. The retailers are still pushing it up, thinking, yes, we've got ETFs, we've got this, that, and the other. We're going to be lowering interest rates soon in America. So they're still actually buying into the market, and they're driving price higher, but on very low volume, because it's just the retailers driving the market higher. But the professionals, the big volume, are not in the market right now. They actually cashed out, or they've already cashed out. So the big players are not really in the market. They're not pushing it now. We're going higher on low volume, which is a warning sign that the market is somewhere near a peak. So I won't take too much time on these because a lot of them, but this is just looking at the SPX, very, very similar wave counts, the S&P 500. And it's telling you that wave 4, working on a final wave 5, exactly the same as the Dow. And it's looking like an ending diagonal because the wave 1 is made up of an A, a B, and a C. That's telling you this is an ending diagonal in the making. Looks like a contracting ending diagonal. So each wave will get smaller and smaller, but it's choppy. So there's a lot. So it's really difficult to know exactly when the top is because it's going to be very, very choppy up and down as we reach the end of this wave. But when we reach the end, you can see here the potential, talking about a wave 2 coming down to, a massive fall from where we potentially are now. I mean, if you look at the values there, looking at 3,000 from 5,000, that's a big, big fall in the market. Even if it's just this smaller fall in the market, you're still talking 30% fall in the market potentially. So I'm just saying to people, don't sell everything, but just be prepared that the market may not go the way everyone's expecting to rallying to new massive all-time highs. We could be in for quite a serious correction. Here's again looking at more detail, but I won't focus on it. We can, if you want to focus later, we can do. But again, this is just quite interesting. Looking at the Fed, again, this was his work. I like his work. I like taking things from people to take out the nuggets from what they say, but I don't agree with what everyone says. I've got my own opinion, and I think any trader needs to have their own opinion, but still search around to get information and nuggets from everywhere else. So this one, he was basically saying that the Fed interest rate changes have no bearing on the market. And this chart would seem to support that because basically we saw the Fed raise the rate here, the market fell, which is what you'd expect. But then the Fed raised the rate here and the market rose. Then the Fed raised the rate here and the market rose. Then the Fed rate remained unchanged and the market fell, then rose, etc., etc. So what he's saying is that these Fed changes do not dictate where the market's going. But what he failed to say was, it's not the actual rate change that matters, it's the expectation. So if everybody was already expecting a rate rise and it happens, then it's nothing negative because it's already priced in.
Yep.
So that's just
that's a very good point because it's always priced. They already the people on the inside already know it's going to happen before it happens.
Yeah, exactly. So it's surprises that we're looking for. I just thought I'd touch on gold. This is his chart of gold because I know you guys are very keen on gold. And looking at this long-term chart, it looks to be very bullish longer term. So we're currently knocking around the 2,000 area, and their target by 2025, somewhere in 2025, is 3,000, 50% rise. So we're looking for a major rally in gold to come. But short term, it's actually got a further setback for gold. Not massive, but some kind of setback for gold. And that would probably correlate with maybe some further dollar strength initially. But when dollar starts to weaken, I think gold will, when they start to lower rates again, gold will probably rally. So gold will be a really good potential safe haven. So again, all about diversification, holding an efficient portfolio. Gold is part of that. So it makes absolute sense what has been said on this show so far, that gold should form a part of any well-diversified portfolio because it's not correlated directly with other assets. So that's really good.
Yep.
Here's Bitcoin. This is actually his chart on Bitcoin. It's actually agreeing with my kind of long-term view that potentially we're headed for some serious downside. But the next major move, if it were correct, if this chart is correct, he's saying that we've had 5 waves up to the top, which is what I said. Then he said we've had 5 waves down. And then basically he's got, again, the same 5 up, then ABC, which is in the form of a triangle, and higher. So that's telling you this is corrective higher. So the next big move is to the downside. And he's got targeting the previous low, FTX low, as the initial move down. So 15,000. So that would be a 70% fall or somewhere around that sort of range.
Yeah.
So potentially we could be in for a rocky time. I'm just saying potentially because it's important to give two sides of the story. As I say, I'm just hearing too many people talking about Bitcoin going to the moon and everything going to the moon. And as we said, if everyone's saying it, you've got to think something else.
Well, that's exactly right. Because as well, we know, there's a lot of players out there who are, the money doesn't come out of nowhere. So, well, sometimes it does, I guess, but they want to take the money. And so you have people in positions to take that money. And if everybody is just long and going up, it's a lot easier to take the money.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, we know that the Fed are withdrawing money from the economy. They're shrinking the economy right now. M2 is, money supply is coming down right now. So money is going to come out of risk assets at some point soon. Yes, it could well reverse once they actually start to lower interest rates. Later this year, at some point, it will happen. We don't know quite when it's going to be. But at the moment, as they're withdrawing money from the economy, there's less money to spend. It means that prices are probably, asset prices, risk asset prices are probably going to go down. And here's just a shorter term view. Again, I won't go into too much detail there, but we can see that potentially, we are looking at the next major move down. And I think we're just going to keep this in the back of our minds as to where the markets are potentially going. So, I won't focus too much, just finish probably on my long-term chart here on Bitcoin. So this from that FTX low does honestly look to me like it's probably corrected because again, we're getting quite a bit of overlap. This wave here is overlapping this wave here. So that's telling me this is probably a corrective ABC move higher. So we may well move a little bit higher short term, but I'm just saying I think we should be aware of potential downside. And just to be transparent, I actually closed my long Bitcoin position this morning and took profit on it. And if it goes higher, I don't care. I've taken some profit. That's all that matters to me. But just to be, again, transparent, this is what I see as the major risk in the market is to the downside. I don't see the risk to the upside so much right now because too many people are talking about it. So, in summary, that's where I'm sat with the market. There we are with yesterday's 1929 crash.
Well, it's always a great show. Yesterday was great as well. Talking about the history of Black Friday. I know they weren't always on Black Friday, but
no, but as they say, the Black Days, there's Black Friday, first of all, then I think it was Black Tuesday, wasn't it, in 1929? So Black Friday was 1869, Black Friday was 1929. Then we had next major crash after that was the 87 crash, which was, I think that was Black Monday, wasn't it? No, I think we had Black Wednesday when the UK fell out of the exchange rate mechanism. And we'll need to see what day this one happens on this time round if we get a major crash. But,
well, it is interesting. As I said, I think that the major players, a lot of the major players in the markets, they really don't want a Trump presidency. They don't want, the WEF, all these big money guys. They don't want to see what's happening in with the protests across Europe as well. This does not go along with their agenda. And so to think that they're going to continue to pump the market, I think I don't think it's a very, very smart assumption. Now, it may continue to rise, but if it turns out that we're going to have these waves of political change coming on, I think it makes sense that the markets will correct.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. The one I showed you about divergence, showing you that the prices are actually going higher, but the volumes are going down. That is telling you that the big players have already taken the money out of the market, and the market's been pushed up by the retailers. And this news of the ETF, for example, just looking at Bitcoin, the ETF approval, and we've got the upcoming ETF approval probably for Ethereum. This is the kind of news that's still pushing retailers saying, yeah, the market's going to go to the moon, etc. And the retailers are still buying. But we can see on the volumes, we can see that the big players, a lot of big players have pulled money out of the market. Yes,
like
some big
Matt,
players.
like Matt Dixon, the big players pulling
Yeah.
pulling their money out of the market.
Pulled all mine out of Bitcoin this morning, and what happened to Bitcoin price? Well,
It went
right
down.
now,
Well, it's I was actually just about to share that as actually because even while we're doing the show, it's like they're watching us.
they heard. They heard.
We do have quite a bit of viewership there, over 2 million reach in Texas and Louisiana, and then of course about a 2 million reach across our socials as well. So the show is getting out there. So yeah, just and I was just kind of looking at the volume. So if you look at the volume here, it is actually, and this is a 3-day chart, but you can see it's kind of moving down. Yeah, interesting. Well, there's a lot going on in the world. I mean, it's absolutely crazy what we have going on. I guess Blinken just landed, Secretary of State Blinken just landed in Israel. I guess they're going to try to negotiate some ceasefire. I guess it will be successful, but it's going to be temporary. I mean, it's going to be a few months. I mean, hopefully these things stick. I mean, that's always the deal, right? Because you get them to stop shooting each other, and then hopefully the wives and the kids and everything become more important to these guys than killing each other.
Yeah, I mean, Israel, they're desperate to get their own people, their own hostages back. But it seems that Benjamin Netanyahu is absolutely set on destroying Hamas. But the problem is, you never destroy Hamas. It can never happen, because the more you destroy them, the more they will, be homegrown.
It's like that's what I've been saying. It's like when we had our war on terror. Well, we never won the war on terror. Why? Because we're having a war. We're not having a war on somebody or some state. We're just having a. There you have it, guys. That was Matt Dixon from this morning. I wanted to share that because, of course, he has such a depth of insight on everything, and then I wanted to move on, sharing this, talk a little bit about Alejandro Mayorkas. I mean, this guy is just appears to be a really bad actor. A couple of things came to light over the last 24 hours. Pretty interesting. Him just testifying to Congress, by all appearances, not being truthful, and more. So I'm gonna go back over to my my tab here. Actually, share this one because I just did that, and I want you guys to watch this. This is pretty crazy what we have going on here. So Mayorkas. So watch this. And then I'm going to play the other one. So who do you think the guy Obama appointed to DHS Secretary Mayorkas actually works for? Let's check this out.
The same year, an investigation was launched by the DHS. If you're not already convinced that DHS Secretary Mayorkas is absolutely corrupt, I'm going to take you back to 2013, the year that he was appointed to his position by President Obama. The same year, an investigation was launched by the DHS Inspector General's office into Mayorkas' oversight of something called the EB-5 Investor Visa Program. This program offered green cards to foreign investors who invested $500,000 into businesses in the United States in order to essentially create jobs. Interestingly, the popularity of this visa program increased greatly during Mayorkas' tenure. 2 years later, in 2015, the Inspector General report came out, but don't go looking for it now, because the Office of the Inspector General's website, DHS, no longer has that page. Thankfully, we have the Wayback Machine, so this 100-page report on the suspicious activities of Mayorkas is still available if you dig a little bit. These suspicious activities focused around Mayorkas' actions and special access that he provided to politically connected business owners. Who were these politically connected business owners? Well, as one U.S. representative said, the list of individuals involved in the allegations raised in the IG's report reads like an A-list of political powerhouses. These include, but are not limited to, Ed Rennell, the former Democrat governor of Pennsylvania, former chair of the Democrat National Committee, and longtime Clinton advocate. Terry McAuliffe, current Democrat governor of Virginia, former chair of the Democrat National Committee, co-chairman of President Bill Clinton's 1996 re-election campaign, and chairman of Hillary Clinton's 2008 presidential campaign. Also, Anthony Rodham himself, the younger brother of Hillary Clinton, as well as Harry Reid, who was the Senate minority leader. The report basically lays out how Mayorkas inserted himself into the visa evaluation process. He went outside of normal procedures in order to give special access to his politically connected allies, including, again, Hillary's brother. It is just one big club, and you ain't in it.
Crazy, right? I mean, and there you go. It's just playing again there. And I'm going to play another clip here in a second, but unbelievable, right? I mean, so this guy, Obama appointed this guy, Mayorkas. I don't know how in the world he must have just gone under the radar with Trump, not really made too many waves or something. But of course, Trump should have gotten rid of him when he had the chance. Of course, I guess Congress is supposed to impeach him, but we had the House and the Senate. Of course, we have the House now. Unbelievable. They weren't able to impeach this guy. It's just even hard to fathom why that happens. And then I ran across that this morning. And then what I had run across a little bit earlier was him testifying to Congress. And this is absolutely unbelievable too. It's unbelievable what's going on. And he says, I am not corrupt or everything else. And look at this. Look at this. Hold on here. I need him on the wrong tab. Here we go.
Yes, slide. We want to thank you for coming here today, for your performance. I have watched with absolute fascination as you have danced and dodged and lied. Yes, lied. We know you've lied. You know you've lied. But more importantly, the American public knows that you lied. And yet you believe that you and your fellow architects of the censorship industrial complex think that you should be able to determine what is and isn't true.
The FBI made the social media platforms pull that information off the internet if it came from conservative sources. Can you define what disinformation is?
The FBI is not in the business of moderating content or causing any social media company to suppress or censor.
That is not what the court has found.
Did the U.S. government ever contact you or anyone at Twitter to pressure Twitter to moderate or censor certain tweets?
We have a program.
Yes or no?
We receive legal demands to remove content from the platform from the U.S. government.
Twitter was basically a subsidiary of the FBI.
Dr. Walensky, why aren't you and your staff wearing masks?
Because we also have guidance on our website that says that mask wearing
Your own website has this that says you should wear a mask in addition to vaccination, yet you and your staff are not wearing masks. I don't understand.
There's a current Department of Justice investigation into your finances.
Yep.
What is it about?
Well, I can say this, is I'm cooperating completely. And I am absolutely certain, 100% certain, that at the end of the investigation, that I will be cleared of any wrongdoing.
You're 100% certain.
I'm 100% certain of it. And all I can do is cooperate and trust in the process.
And then the way the political process works, I'll have to sit down with Senate Democrats and we'll see what the way forward is.
What's your level of confidence in Dr. Fauci at this point?
Total.
You are the walking, talking epitome of the very tyrant that our forefathers recognized would gravitate towards government service. And it is because of people like you that they drafted the First Amendment.
Attacks on me, quite frankly, are attacks on science.
You and people like you would do everything in your power to control speech, to control freedom, to take away our rights. And they've written a document that isn't going to allow you to do that. Unfortunately, we still have courts and judges who recognize that you don't have the power that you are attempting to take, that you do not have the right to limit our freedom of speech, our freedom of association, our right to communicate. Thank God we have the First Amendment so that we can stop you from doing what you've been doing. With that, I yield back.
Your accusations are false.
Accusations are false, he says. And of course, we just saw We just saw the girl shared the stuff that's been scrubbed from the internet. That's one of their favorite things to do. Of course, they scrub the stuff from the internet, and then you can't find it. Unbelievable. So we're getting to the end here, but Tucker, is it illegal for him? And I can't believe, first of all, I cannot believe, it is astounding to me that we cannot impeach Mayorkas. How in the world can, I mean, actually, I do know, because everybody works for the central bank. I talk about it all the time. Central bank totally controls everything. It's not Congress. Congress is working for them. They can't get too far out of line. But as well, I wanted to move on to this right here. Is it illegal? Is it illegal for Tucker to interview Putin? And they're talking about sanctioning over in the EU. So I wanted to share this as well.
With another country, Tucker Carlson is interviewing Vladimir Putin today, and many people believe it's going to go horribly wrong for Tucker. My first question was, is it even legal for a U.S. reporter to go over to a country that we're basically at war with and interview the president of that country? The answer is yes, but I forecast some big problems ahead for Tucker Carlson. The Espionage Act is a U.S. law that basically prohibits us from spying or leaking classified documents to foreign countries. But the words of the law are super broad and could be construed to prohibit any sharing of information with another country with intent to harm the U.S. Is it possible that Tucker shared his questions with Putin's people before the interview? Is it possible that Putin's people provided Tucker with evidence supporting their war with Ukraine? This is definitely information covered by the Espionage Act. However, does Tucker Carlson have an intent to harm the U.S.? This is where the Espionage Act case against Tucker gets weaker, and it gets even more weak when you consider that U.S. government is duty-bound to follow the dictates of the U.S. Constitution. The Constitution guarantees freedom of the press, and the U.S. Supreme Court has done everything it can to protect this provision and journalists. That's why only in extreme cases can the U.S. government violate the Constitution. Journalists are free to publish classified information or information that was stolen, so long as the media didn't steal the information, unless the government can demonstrate an immediate and direct threat to national security. So my view is that Tucker Carlson's interview with Putin is ultimately legal, but Tucker is acting boldly. He's taking a risk that he could be prosecuted later on in time on bogus charges.
He could be prosecuted on bogus charges. That's their favorite move, right? To prosecute people on bogus charges. Unbelievable. We have this lawfare in the U.S. I don't know, guys, when we are going to just stand up to this. I'm going to show this again. When are we going to? When are you guys want to come to my tea party? I keep saying, when do you want to come to my tea party? Until 1913, Americans kept all of their earnings. Despite this, America still had schools, roads, colleges, vast railroads, subways, and an army and a navy. Guys, it was a 2% tax that we got upset about. This is Putin on the political persecution of President Trump.
It shows the rottenness of the American system. As far as the prosecution of Trump is concerned, this is good for us in today's conditions because it shows the rottenness of the American system, which cannot pretend to teach others about democracy. All that is happening with Trump is the persecution of a political rival for political reasons. And this is done in front of the public of the United States and the whole world. As far as the prosecution of Trump is concerned, this is good for us in today's conditions.
Pandemonium. Unbelievable, really, how that's going on. Guys, make sure that you diversify. Go to atcostmetals.club and join. It's free to join. Get some at cost, dealer cost of gold, silver, palladium. Go to atcostbitcoin.club and join using that referral link of KuCoin. You can get your different, all types of different coins on there. Go to Global Boost with the dot between the O and the ST. Get involved. We're setting up the centralized media network that is censor resistant, so that we can protect ourselves. The road ahead is crazy. It's just crazy how everything's going. Appreciate you guys joining in. Always a pleasure to be here with you. See you tomorrow.